Hello, my name's Anne Hawkins, and I'm here today with another guest on a wonderful Google Hangout. We were just discussing why it's so complicated. But not to worry, we're here now. So my guest today is Carrie Bedingfield, who has started the most wonderful business, or business incubator, called 50th Generation. So welcome, Carrie. Say hello to
Hi.
our guests.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
That's a great pleasure. Carrie, would you like to start us off by just telling us a little bit about 50th Generation, and then later on we can go into why you started it and what it's all about?
50th Generation is an incubator or an accelerator for a particular type of business, and it's the business that falls in the crossover between social enterprise and private business. So it sees doing good and creating wealth as part of the same jigsaw.
Okay, that's a really, really important distinction, because I think a lot of people get the social enterprise thing and they get the profit thing, and that crossover bit in the middle causes a lot of confusion, doesn't it?
It does. I think we have been brought up to believe that you either make money over here, and then if you're lucky and you make enough, you might give it away to do some good over there, or you quit the rat race and you work in social enterprise and you commit to doing good, and then you're not really allowed to earn any money at that point or create any wealth.
Yeah, I think people get very cynical about social enterprise because they kind of see it as people creating a job for themselves. Where the business is making money, it's paying the people who started it, and it is doing some good, but there's all this business of, well, you know, you only created that and you're only doing it this way because you couldn't make it in the real world.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the myth that I guess I'm trying to bust, and I'm trying to prove that we can create wealthy businesses with fantastic products that are really profitable and sustainable by holding purpose at the source rather than seeing it as a trade-off between one and the other.
Okay. So before we get into the whole area of purpose-led businesses, which is very dear to my heart as well as to yours, I know, let's go back a couple of steps and just tell us a little bit about you. So why you and why now?
I'm somebody who always wanted to run a business, and in fact, as a child, I ran many businesses in my garden and my bedroom, and I was 25 before I really started my first proper business, which was called One Fish, Two Fish, and that grew very rapidly and by many people's measures was extremely successful and profitable, but ultimately without creating a business that was really sustainable and sustainable for me as its owner in terms of the cost to me personally, that was a business that didn't have a future. So after a particularly kind of life-changing series of events, I decided that I would try and recreate One Fish, Two Fish as a new type of business that would sustain its owners, its employees, the community around it, its customers, and be in it for the long term. And I guess when I personally experienced how different that felt and how much more powerful that was, I realised lots of people were talking about conscious business, which is a term I don't really like, but that's some of the language we have at the moment. But nobody was really doing it, and lots of people were speaking about it, but nobody had a real template or a roadmap for doing it. And I felt I could probably help other organisations to find their way to achieving a much more sustainable long-term business.
Okay.
So I did.
Great. So just talk a little bit about purpose-led businesses and, as you say, conscious business, which is a term I've not come across before. So perhaps you could explain that to us as well.
Oh, crumbs. Well, so I think conscious business is probably something that means lots of different things to different people, but I guess I use it, when I use it, I mean people who run businesses in order to deliver a far wider set of outcomes than just delivering profit day to day. And though I don't for a moment think that most business owners are purely in it for the money, I think we run businesses because we want autonomy and a sense of mastery, and we think we can do it better than working for the other fella. But I do think we end up very revenue, profit, cash focused in our businesses, and that's incredibly costly. And so conscious business is, for me, is freeing our minds up from that fear of, am I going to make enough money next month, to creating a business that deliberately creates bigger and broader outcomes for other people. And it kind of sees business as a place where social change can happen, not just as a vehicle for making money.
Okay, so in order to get going, a lot of businesses do rely on investors, and those investors, are often blamed for the profit drive, if you like, of wanting their money back as quickly as possible, and with as much return as possible. So, how is 50th Generation different in that respect?
Yeah, so I think you're absolutely right, and the only caveat to that, what I would say, is that just as there's a really wide spectrum of business owners, there are also a wide spectrum of investors, and there are more and more investors who are interested in funding organisations that are trying to grow a much bigger, more wealthy company, and wealth for the widest possible range of people. And I guess 50th Generation is one of those. So originally it started as an investment idea, so I was already investing in various local projects and ideas in Cambridge, and I wanted to broaden that and do that with purpose-led business, but I realised that actually the money isn't what a lot of them need. Some of them do, but what many of them need at the early stage is to be surrounded by the best brains in their industry, people who understand strategy, finance, whatever it is that they need. They need a community of people who will encourage them and be their work family before that bigger family exists. And they just need some direction, mentoring, one-to-one coaching. So I decided to put all of that together with some money, not a life-changing, earth-shattering amount of money, but some money to give people with the right mindset a real kickstart, so that they wouldn't need to take on investors who would demand different things from them.
So 50th Generation is the name of the incubator, is that right?
It is. Yeah.
And tell us the inspiration for that name.
Yeah, so it has at least two meanings, but two I'll share with you today. One is the concept that, can we create a business that creates value for 50 generations? So an incredibly aspirational target. You could think of it as 1,000 years. And if we start to think of business through that kind of lens, and ourselves as business owners as the custodians of a business that is designed to create value for generations, we would think incredibly differently. That's the first one. The second one is the way the incubator is designed is to work in generations. So a generation is a cohort of 8 businesses who come together and for a period of time rapidly accelerate through that first brick wall of running a business. They then give way to a second generation. So they move on to the next level, and a second new generation comes in, and so on, so that generation 1 is coaching generations 3, 4, 5, and so on. So at the moment we're in generation 1, making preparation for generation 2. And I guess the concept behind that is that anybody could put a small amount of money in at the start, catalyse 8 businesses, and they would create enough value to kickstart the next generations. So it's trying to transform the way in which businesses are kickstarted as well.
Okay, that's really great. So tell us about the 8 businesses that you've started off with, or some of the ones that are really coming through as strong contenders to carry on into the next generation.
Yeah, so 2 really great examples. One is Green Air Cars, which is a premium carbon neutral airport shuttle company. So if you are a big pharmaceutical company and you have a business on the science park and you're ferrying important people to and from Heathrow, that is a way to massively reduce your carbon impact, plus provide your employees with an experience of Wi-Fi and incredibly polite, articulate drivers, water, and so on and so on. So a kind of premium experience. That's one of them. Another is one that if you live in Cambridge, you may well know, which is the Dowsing Sound Collective, which is a premium gig experience choir, where normal people like me and you who can, if they can sing, they can join a group of instrumentalists and singers to deliver the most extraordinary concert experiences. And they're now launching 3 new communities in London. So both of those organisations are rapidly expanding as they progress through the incubator.
Okay, so the green cars, I can see, that's almost a regular business model, but with a conscience, if you like. How does the dowsing for sound work? Is that similar to again, a profit-making model where they sell tickets and they pay performers?
Yeah, so both are actually great examples of this crossover between private and social business. So none of the businesses in the incubator need to be a social business per se, so they don't need to be an environmental business or something that rights a wrong in particular, but the way they run that organisation, that's what's different. Now, many of them are social businesses as well, but the Dowsing Sound Collective, what they do is create very strong communities of people. They create a product where the people who join the choir itself, not just those that go to the gig, but those that sing, have life-changing experiences, and they have some extraordinary stories of people who have recovered from mental health problems, or suffered from depression, or struggled to gain mastery in a particular area of their life, or been unemployed for a long time. So all these businesses are trying to do something purposeful, but it doesn't need to be what we would traditionally categorise as charity or social business.
Okay, so how does it differ when businesses like this employ someone? Do they have regular contracts of employment, or are they taking that employment experience to a different level as well?
Absolutely. So one of the places that you would be most likely to see the difference between a 50th generation company and another company is your experience as an employee. So that's one of the most important stakeholder groups. When I first devised the rules of the game, so what would you need to do to become a 50th generation company, one of them was that you needed to share value with your employees somehow. So all of the organisations have that in common. They also all have a way of communicating as a business, including with employees, which is called clean communication, which is zero blame, zero judgment. The idea is we are on the same team, and it's about adult to adult communication. And that's really, really different. And the idea is that an employee leaves work feeling bigger, more competent, more successful each day, not smaller, more blamed, more stressed, more under pressure each day. Now that's a big ideal, but it's this kind of intellectual property and these methodologies like clean communication, which I'm teaching to the organisations to help them genuinely do something different, rather than say, hey, I want to run a purpose-led business. Well, we all want to do that.
Okay, and you say this is how you teach them. So what's the process for that? Do people come together on a regular basis and learn from you and other teachers, mentors, as well as from each other?
Yeah, so the core experience that they have is 1 day of group learning and coaching a month, and that's in the Future Business Centre in Cambridge, all together, and that is a rich, courageous, diverse, intense experience, and we can just about manage it for a day, but any more than that and we would be lying on the floor panting. I think it's a really intense experience. The other thing we do is surround people with great mentors. So every business has at least 2 mentors, and one of those mentors will know them really well and know their journey and be on their side, in their corner, ready to help them think aloud when they need to. They'll have other mentors who know something specialist that they need right now. So it could be somebody in their industry, somebody to do with finance, and we're getting pretty agile at bringing mentors and individuals, companies together to create results at the right time. There's also an intranet of content, and we're constantly curating content so that these businesses can run using the best knowledge that is available to companies now.
Great, okay, that sounds quite extraordinary. And what happens if one of the companies fall by the wayside? You know, if Parish thought they just don't make it and they give up.
Yeah, this is all. So here we use clean communication to decide what we do in that scenario. So this is all about adult-to-adult communication and self-responsibility. My view is this is an all-weather incubator. So when I offered out the places and invited people to join, I got a load of emails back saying, I really want to join, but you should know that X, Y, Z is happening in my life. And I felt that this is an incubator for real people at real stages of whatever they are in their life, and we are all going on this journey together. And my expectation is that some people will get there quickly and some people will get there more slowly and do it with help from other people later in their career, and that's fine. This experience will have served its purpose there. If somebody decided the incubator just wasn't for them, they didn't want to continue with the year, well, that would be their choice, their responsibility. They wouldn't have to give their money back. I guess in the way I run this incubator, I'm trying to show people through my actions what I really believe in, rather than teaching people one thing, but actually when it comes down to it, well, you've got to pull your socks up. No, it isn't like that. It's a human incubator for human people, including me.
You mentioned that you're almost at the end of the first generation and preparing for the second. And so are you planning on always having this in and around Cambridge, or are you expanding it to other areas of the country or the world?
Yeah, so next stop is London. So Generation 2 will be in London. So we will continue a stream of activities here in Cambridge. This is where we were born. And East London, so Liverpool Street, will be the location of Generation 2. Going forward, my vision is that we have a syllabus of stuff, of videos, content, mentors, and all of that can be used virtually. So a little bit like the Perth School has created an iTunes University channel for all of its materials. Why couldn't we do the same? I also think this is designed to be portable. It's designed to be modular, require a low amount of capital to start up. It's pretty easy to run. I'd love to see it all over the world.
So I know that one of the people we've got watching us today is a young man who is extremely bright and ambitious and has similar kind of values. So if, for example, he decided he wanted to open a 50th generation, let's say in Minnesota, how would he go about that?
Yeah, so first thing he would do is talk to me. And I think we are looking for the first overseas I'd say franchise, just to show that it's modular rather than referring to any financial relationship between the two. So the first thing would be a conversation with me, and I'm looking for the first pilot location to do that. Hooray.
Okay, that sounds as though it could happen sooner rather than
maybe.
Carrie, this is all really, really exciting stuff. Just propel yourself forward for a while. When you're an old lady like me, looking back on this, what will give you the most satisfaction? What will be your indications of success, other than perhaps Carrie Bedingfield OBE?
Gosh, well, you asked all the good questions. I think realistically, I'm one of many people who are feeling my way towards this new type of business. So though some people I talk to about this find it extraordinary, and I can't even imagine why anybody would want to do that, actually plenty of people are figuring this out. So I guess I would like to be to look back and think I was one of those people who said, I don't know all the answers, but I'm going to have a go and do something that hasn't been done exactly like that before, in the spirit of joining together with lots of other people across the world who are calling it something different, but really we're trying to do the same thing.
Okay. And I mean, do you consider yourself to be part of the sharing economy, or is that something completely different?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So I think that's a whole domain and a language area that I'm catching up on. There's a lot of stuff I'm catching up on, really, in circular economy, sharing economy, all those things. But yes, I think this absolutely, there are lots of domains of people reaching for the same thing and doing it in a different way, calling it something different.
And what do you think the ultimate driver is of that? Is it just to have a better life experience generally, or is it to change society, or just give business a completely different meaning?
I think business doesn't serve us as human beings, and I think it's one of the last places. It's the place we've kind of forgotten to overhaul, and we think that we have this whole mindset that at work we should behave like that, and work is supposed to be difficult, and we learn at school that you don't get anywhere unless you try really, really hard, and there's truth in all of that. None of that is untrue. Lots of things in life are difficult or need working hard for, but I think we've gone so far down the line of thinking that work is this identity defining, life limiting thing that we do, and we've forgotten to make it brilliant, and that filters through to so many different areas of society, and I'd love to see that myth kind of shattered once and for all.
This is not a new thing, is it? It's been going on for quite some time. I mean, we talked before about the Maverick book that was written over 30 years ago. Doing kind of experiments like this in heavy engineering in South America, and that has been proved to work in small pockets here and there throughout the world since then. But it never seems to have really taken on any momentum. And to the extent that it's changed the way big business works, or traditional business, profit-making business works. So why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's a generational thing. So I think the wonderful Ricardo was so ahead of his time, so ahead of his time. But what they say about the future is that it's here already. It's just not very evenly distributed. And I think he was one of the very, 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 real innovators, early adopters, probably the innovator really. And I think generationally that, the people who from baby boomers and Generation X still believe that. Work hard, climb the greasy pole, that's a mindset that takes a generation to shift. As Gen Y have come aboard, and I'm just on the cusp, so I'm, according to some dates I'm one and some dates I'm the other, and as we have Gen Z and millennials, I think that's rapidly changing. They will not accept the terms of work that we've laid out for them in the past, and organisations are having, suddenly the platform is burning because the new generation of employees doesn't believe the same thing that the previous generation did. So, yeah, it's coming.
And can't come fast enough for most people, I guess.
Yeah.
So, how do you see this panning out in terms of industry? And as I'm asking this question, I'm reflecting back on the Ricardo Semler experience, and what he did with his business, which was traditionally clocking in, clocking out, get paid by the hour, you only get paid for what you do, and very hierarchical. So where am I going with this question? I'm asking it to you and I'm answering it myself because I know a lot of people would say that it's all very well in the information world, and knowledge businesses, but when it comes down to manufacturing and such like that, it's more difficult. So rescue me. Tell me the answer. How to get here.
I agree, and I think the wonderful thing about Ricardo Semler and Maverick is that it was in heavy industry. So none of us had the excuse of saying, oh, well, it's just a marketing agency. So there was, I can't quite think of the name, it was Something's Marketing Agency, which is the other great example of change working practices. I think it's St. Martin's. And that's far less believable because all creative agencies are creative. You see these working practices appear in digital agencies, agile businesses. What we need are for some large organisations and some complex, kind of older, dirtier businesses to role model it. And I think that is coming. What Semler says in his book, when he says that people don't have any set working hours necessarily, or they can choose when they take their holiday, is he says, do you really think that as an adult if somebody decided they needed the afternoon off to go to their children's Christmas play, that they wouldn't look at the person next to them and say, excuse me, would you mind swapping with me? And you know, what is it that what do we think adults do at work that means that they wouldn't do that? These people run lives and homes and do all sorts of things. So I think it's just about taking tentative steps forward for some organisations, and then one big business role modelling it, and I think that will change everything. Yeah. And let it be a 50th generation company that does it.
Oh, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Yeah. And as you say, a lot of that does rely on people treating other people as adults, yeah, and giving everyone that respect, and now to communicate openly. Yeah. Okay. Carrie, that's been absolutely great. Is there any last thought you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, that's if this is interesting to you in any way, come and join us, support us, benefit from us. We've got a great community of people. We can promote the things you're doing. We'd love to welcome you at we have a series of open lectures every fourth Friday in Cambridge. We'd love to welcome you there. Everything we do is free. You know, if you join the Incubator, that's a different commitment, but otherwise everything is free, and come and be part of it.
Okay. And where can people find you, Carrie?
So at 50th Generation on Twitter, or at C Bedingfield, just one D, or www.50thgeneration.org.
Okay, lovely. We'll put all those on the bottom of the YouTube video once this goes out onto the YouTube channel. But for now, Carrie, thank you so much for being our guest today. That was absolutely wonderful, inspirational as always, and I'm sure that you're going to be a huge, huge success and create lots of wonderful businesses.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a great pleasure.